Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for Moon Knight, Season 1, Episode 3, The Friendly Type. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos my vast video library and pops up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to roll the dice and see if YouTube will actually notify you when I come on live again, you can hit that bell down below there, and they may notify you, they may not. I'm pretty sure they're not going to. But anyway, if you really want to know when I'm going to come on live, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media on there, all the links to my pages as well. All right. With that said, let's get down to it, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Yes, all right. Okay, we got it. So again, decent episode, really good episode. This was more comic booky than I thought it was going to be, and I liked it. I really do like it. There's also just a great shot of Moon Knight in the suit, but he's fighting. He comes jumping down over the top, and when you see his cape, swirl out like a moon, like a crescent moon. And I was like, that's fucking badass. They did a great job on that for the special effects portion of it. I really dug the way they did that. So let's get into the episode a little bit more, shall we? So the whole thing with Mark is trying to find out where the hell Harrow is, where he's digging for Amit. And of course he's in Cairo, and Layla's in Cairo as well. We get a little bit more about Layla as well, as she is making her documents, her forged documents. And supposedly her father had taken her around to different dig sites. He was an archaeologist. And if you remember back to when Stephen got arrested in the first episode, the cops were talking about how Mark Spector was someone that was a person of interest at a dig site where there was a lot of deaths. Layla doesn't know what happened to her father, that, of course, and we're pretty much sure that um, somehow or another, the death of her father was in that dig site that is related to Mark Spector. I don't think Mark did it, but we'll get to that too as we go along here. Now, remind you, there's only 6 episodes in this series. Supposedly, this is a one and done mini series, much like a lot of the Marvel stuff that's going on. So, will it go over to movies? We don't know. Will it go over to other series? Possibly. I don't know. I wish I did, because honestly, I'm kind of liking where this is going. Um, Mark, on the other hand, is he finds some punks. He's actually looking for a little bit of information, and the guy that he needs the information from gets killed by these street punks. And as he's beating into them, who pops up? It's Steven. Steven takes over the body and lets the guys go, and is on the way to the airport when Mark comes back into the play there and finds the guys again. And he gets knocked out, but then wakes up with a knife shivved into one of the guys' bellies there. And he's asking Stephen, "Did you do this?" And Steven's like, "It's not me. I don't know who did this." So obviously, Mark and Steven are not the one that have been killing people, much like we've seen what happens when Steven was going in and out of consciousness there, which may bring about another personality, which, we know that Moon Knight has in the comics, who's called Jake Lockley. But there might be another personality in there as well that we haven't heard about, which would explain why the security guard at the museum kept calling Steven Scotty rather than just, instead of calling him Steven, forgetting that his name is Steven, instead of calling him Scotty, maybe Scotty is another personality that's been popping up, and maybe the violent type. We don't know. So we know there's at least another third, there's a third personality in there someplace. We just haven't been introduced to it as of yet. Yeah. So yeah, Conchu ends up coming up with the idea of calling about the other gods in order to tell them what Harrow is doing. So of course he creates an eclipse in the middle of the day, and the Enid is called. That's what it's called, the Enid. And so this is where the avatars of the other gods are brought in to hear what Khonshu has to say. And the other gods, of course, are Hathor. I'm looking at my notes, by the way. Horus, Isis, Tefnut, and Osiris. And by the way, those were 5 avatars, but there were 4 other empty seats. So we know that Khonshu and Ammit are both gods. So obviously 2 of the seats belong to them. Who are the other 2 seats belong to? We don't know. And as the avatars are brought in, and Khonshu makes his case that Harrow is trying to bring about Ammit, they bring in Harrow, who basically gaslights everybody and says, "Hey, Khonshu's avatar here is being abused. He's got mental health issues. You need to take care of this. I'm not doing anything. I was out for a stroll in the desert by myself, kind of thing." And yeah, they believe him and let him go, which almost kind of puts it almost kind of validates Harrow's you know his idea of Amit taking out bad guys like him to prevent evil from propagating in the world. But anyway, um CBM says, I love the scene with the avatar. Yeah, the scene with the avatars is really nice, especially inside the Pyramid of Giza, and making that the chamber for the Enid to appear and judge on things. And also, we get mention of something called the Overvoid as well. So the Overvoid is where the gods have been residing, and they haven't been really paying attention to the affairs of man, other than through their avatars, and even then, really not all that much. So that's kind of an interesting little aside as well. There are little breadcrumbs that we're getting throughout this, and we're not going to follow a good majority of it. So it's kind of sad, but at the same time, that's where we're at. So without a way of finding out where the hell Harrow is, and where Amit's tomb is, which Harrow is already at and digging at the moment, he being Mark Spector and Layla, they end up finding out that they need to, of course, go and find a sarcophagus of the one person who was entrusted with Amat's, where her tomb was when he was alive, which is 2,000 years ago. The gods entrusted him with this. So they know where the or actually, I should say, Layla knows where the sarcophagus is, and she knows the person who has it, who is, excuse me, um, Mogart, Anton Mogart, who, by the way, in Marvel Comics is also known as Midnight Man. So he's a villain called Midnight Man, and he has the sarcophagus. And by the way, Anton is actually played by the late Gaspard Yul. Yuliel. I'm gonna murder his name. He died in a skiing accident, I believe, late last year. So this is one of his final roles. So if you notice at the end of the credits there was actually dedicated to him because, yes, of course, he passed away. So there is a sarcophagus there. There is a huge fight scene, which is actually a really good fight scene, where the suit is summoned, and we find out how much abuse the suit can actually take, because Moon Knight is getting hit with you know spears left and right through the body, all the way through the body, and not dying, but he's being pinned down enough, and still he's able to fight. um so they find out that they need Stephen, of course, to read the constellation as to where Amit is, but the constellation is from 2,000 years ago. So Khonshu says, all right, tell you what. He goes, I remember that night. He goes, I'm gonna turn it back the stars to that night. And he goes, just tell Mark he needs to rescue me. And he turns back the night sky 2,000 years so that Layla can actually record the spot of where it's at, of where the tomb is at. And in doing so, the Enid traps Khonshu into stone, and of course, Haro is there and ends up asking, I believe it's Osiris, if Khonshu can hear him inside that stone statue, and he's like, "We think so," and he leaves him to it and lets Haro gloat over him. And in the meantime, Mark does not have the powers anymore, does not have the suit. They just have the location of where Amit's tomb is, and yeah, it's kind of fucked. Word 79, what kind of problem do you have? That's where we leave off on the episode, by the way. So good episode. I liked it. We also, have an admission from Mark that yes, he does have problems, his personality problems, and that he, instead of dealing with them, he has, of course, given over himself to a Egyptian god. Uh, in episode 1 of Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac calls Avatar an anime. Uh, so yeah, 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 that's not an issue. Anyway, back to the episode itself. Good episode. Oh, and by the way, we also get a little mention from Mogart, who is talking to Layla and mentions Madripoor. So Madripoor, by the way, of course, is a made-up country. It is in the MCU. We got this, of course, in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, as it is now. And that Sharon Carter is the one that runs Madripoor. So if she was in Madripoor, does she work for Sharon Carter now at this point? And then also the Contessa as well. Is she part of that group? So we are getting drawn into that as well. We just had it was a little tangent, but it's there. So yeah. CBM, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Captain America and Winter Soldier, as it is called now, is where we went to Madripoor. So we were in Madripoor. We even saw the Princess Bar that Wolverine, owns, Logan owns. So it was more than an MCU mention. It was a full-on location in the MCU. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff here. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that was just kind of, like I said, breadcrumb dropped. And again, this is the stuff that we've been told, of course, was going to happen. Uh, this is what the Disney Plus series are supposed to do. They are supposed to give us more backstory stuff so that the movies can deal with their plot lines without having to build up these little backstories. So you get this is what Fahey was saying that he wanted to do, and this is exactly what I said should be done. Is you use Disney Plus as a way to build up your origin stories. You build up your backstories of these characters. You can also build up plot lines, huge plot lines that are going to pay off into the movies. And that's what he's doing with this. And that's what I'm loving about this. And I feel sorry for a lot of people who don't follow comics. And just for I was telling my sister this the other day. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be fucking confused during Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, because it is referencing so many different things that you haven't watched as of yet, and you're gonna be confused. She says, well, it needs to appeal to just general audiences as well. And I'm like, not really, because it's a second in a series, and it's also part of a larger overarching storyline that if you're not following it, they don't really care because everyone else is hooked on it already. CBM says that scene where they changed the night sky was mesmerizing, although someone is definitely going to notice. Well, yeah, everyone noticed that. That's why the gods ended up, encasing Khonshu in stone. And Khonshu just kind of being an asshole. I mean, complete and total asshole about things is yeah, it's just kind of weird. Oh, and by the way, there was a little bit of chemistry, by the way, we saw between Steven and Layla. I don't know if I was mistaken by that, but I saw a little bit of chemistry between the two of them. It's not the first time, of course. It was also we saw that in the second episode as well. So yeah, good stuff all the way around. I'm liking this series. It is not a slow burn, but also not really speeding going through it as well. It is kind of in between. Um, I'm liking the supernatural aspect of this as well. We're finally getting the Marvel supernatural being brought into play, and this is a different flavor of MCU that we haven't seen as of yet, which I'm digging it. I really am. They're doing a good job of this. They are bringing about the character well. Um, the thumbnail that I used, I mean, I could have used so many different thumbnails from this episode, and the one with him being pinned down with the spears is so comic booky that I dug it, and especially when he doesn't have the mask on. He is. I love that. I really do love that. The episode is the first time where Khonshu seems less assholish. Kind of, sort of. CBM. I agree with you on that. Yeah. You don't like the British accent, Oscar Isaac, word 789. Yeah. By the way, there is a great scene in this too. Of you can see Oscar Isaac's acting in this that I really loved is where he is when they're out in the desert and they're trying to piece together the sarcophagus pieces to make the constellation, and Mark is going to hand over the body to Steven. And we see we're facing him and he is walking, into the desert a little bit there, and we see the transformation happen, and he's talking as Mark, and then he starts talking as Steven, and he also changes demeanor. And again, this is one of those things that you can't do with special effects. Well, you can, but it's still going to look special effecty, which is a different adverb, I guess you could say there. And he did a great job of it. Honestly, it was a. I wonder how many takes that took. I would be very interested to find out how many takes that actually took for him to do that transition. It's one of those. It was a really good transition. That's all I can say between two different personalities within the same body, and he did a really good job of that. So go back and rewatch that one if you can. Um, Now that I actually have souped up internet service and I actually am getting the service that I need to have here, it's actually coming through now in 4K like it's supposed to, and it's just absolutely beautifully shot. This whole thing. I was actually standing up a little closer to the TV screen and taking a look at it, and I was like, wow, they actually did a really nice job of this. Everything's shot very beautifully. And honestly, edited well as well. So this episode in particular, I liked the pacing of it. I like the direction of it, the acting. I mean, everything kind of seemed to hit on all cylinders, and it's a good episode. It really is. So with that said, I'm gonna let you guys go for the rest of the night. But before I do, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, I'm off. I'm going to be off there. Sunday, though, I will return with either. It's probably going to be the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off because I haven't done one of those in a while, and there's a bit of news that's piled up, so we'll probably do that. Um, Monday, I'll be off. Tuesday, we'll come back around again with Is It Worth My Time? I don't know what I'm doing as of yet, but we'll figure something out. And then, of course, Wednesday, we come back around to Moon Knight and episode 4, and we'll see what happens with Moon Knight there and see if Khonshu can get rescued from his stone imprisonment, I should say. So Thank you to everybody who joined me today in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my fast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it out every week. Also have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right. With that said, thank you, everybody. I will see you again on Sunday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that the Egyptian god that's been backing you is now imprisoned and stoned, and now you got to find out where he is so you can get your powers back so that you can stop another god from being released from their prison, because otherwise they're going to kill millions of people on the earth before they're prejudged. So yeah, it's a mess. But anyway, thanks everybody. I will see you again on Sunday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, get those vaccine shots, get those boosters as well, because it doesn't work without the boosters. And I will see you again on Sunday. Have a safe night and have a good rest of the week as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.